Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this edition of the Business and Policy Dialogue. We are here to discuss a very important topic, which is not only important, but also contextual. We have two experts with us today to discuss a roadmap to create a future-ready human capital. A vibrant human capital is critical to make a mark in the global knowledge economy, and India's demographic dividend will only be a boon when its human capital is in sync with the latest technological transformations and disruptions. In this regard, the role of higher education and skill development institutions and must be structured in such a way that the students and the young workforce are prepared for the current and future needs of the global labor market. We have with us this afternoon Shri Navin Mittal, IAS, Commissioner for Collegiate and Technical Education, Government of Telangana. And in conversation with him is Professor Chandrashekar Sripada, Professor of Organizational Behaviour and Executive Director of the Human Capital and Leadership Initiative at the Indian School of Business. Shri Mittal is an officer of the Indian Administrative Service, born on the Telangana cadre, and is a member of the 1996 batch of the IAS. And in his current role as Commissioner for Collegiate and Technical Education, he's led several initiatives, especially during the pandemic, also notably increasing the enrollment in higher education institutions in the state of Telangana. He'll be today sharing his insights on this topic. So Professor Chandrashekar heads the Human Capital and Leadership Initiative at ISB and comes with a very strong background in the industry and is what is a person who very aptly fits the description of a practitioner and an academic. We have the rules of the dialogue, the framework is fairly simple and straightforward. Professor Chandrashekar will introduce and set the context, invite Mr. Mittal to share his thoughts, engage in a conversation with each other, and then we will open up questions. We'll take questions from the audience towards the end. So those of you in the audience with questions, either now or during the dialogue, please post them on the Q&A window of the Zoom platform, and we'll take it as the time arises. With those words of introduction, I again welcome all of you for joining us this afternoon, and over to you, Professor Chandra at the ISB studios. Thank you.
Thank you, Guru. Navinji, welcome. And I've been looking forward to this chat with you as I teach, read, and research on the subject of human capital in India as well as other parts of the world. We have been observing sometimes a disappointing gap between what we visualize, idealize, and theorize and what happens on the ground. And among the various stakeholders who can perhaps fill the gap are people like you who are at the right helm of affairs, in bringing policy to practice and grounding programs that will really raise the human capital for the future. We don't have to once again know, our audience knows, everyone knows that human capital is distinctly the competitive advantage of nations. And in India, if there was a capital in the world for human capital, it will be India, because we just are not in numbers, but in skills and in our readiness to be global, with a unique access to English as well as other languages. We seem to be at the front runner of the human capital race, if you like. So if we can just hone our human capital for the future, we probably will be the nation of that leads the world in some sense, which has been the aspiration. But that's a journey which has to be marked by what civil servants like you do with states and states' infrastructure and its curriculum and the education system in gearing up it for the future. So mine is partly this dialogue that I was looking forward to is partly an inquiry. It's about knowing what you're doing. It's also partly to be an education. I want to learn as to where is the next agenda, how can we all contribute. And thirdly, it is information to the audience to bring them up to speed about how we are thinking about human capital and how can, as community and responsible citizens, they can even contribute to it. So I think though we don't physically engage with the audience here, I would guess they are our partners here. Yes. And together I would love to have a dialogue where I kind of engage with you in exploring what is happening, what more can happen, and what can we do about it. So to start with, as the Commissioner and the Chief of the Collegiate and Technical Education, in the time you have had, what have you been driving? What are the key programs? Where are you taking the collegiate education? From where to where? If you can give us an overview and an outline of that, then we can talk about it.
Thank you, Chandraji. I must say that it's a real pleasure to be here with you, talking about the future-ready workforce which our country desperately needs, I would say, to really reach the position which it deserves in the global front. So I've been in this department for more than 3 years now, and there have been a bunch of things which we have actually done and are in the process of doing also. So some of them I would kind of give you in a brief nutshell. One of the things which we have done is focus a lot on especially the government institutions in the state of Telangana. So we've got about 131 government colleges. And we realized that many of those colleges were having outdated courses and outdated combinations. So we went about kind of looking at completely reorganizing those courses. And we did this process in the academic year of 2018-19. And we brought in modern combinations, for example, computer science as an option in physical sciences, computer applications as an option for BCom, and even in BA we brought in more modern combinations. And the net result of that is that we saw almost like a 42% growth in our admissions in one single year. We also brought in 42% in one single year. And we also brought in English medium actually into our colleges, because though we would want our students to study in the local language or mother tongue, but the social aspirations are very different. I mean, the parents as well as the students, they want to study in a language which helps them integrate into the market economy much more. And we carried on this process so much so that this year we have got a cumulative increase of about 61% over the corresponding figures. And this trend is going on. The second thing which we did is we brought in a lot of flexibility in our combination. You know, NEP talks about flexibility in courses and curriculum. And we actually did that in the academic year 2019-20 for our government colleges. In the sense that we came out of the rigid combinations which were earlier there. For example, there were fixed combinations like math, physics, chemistry, or history, economics, and political science. And we brought in something called a bucket system, that there are 4 buckets to choose from, and within the bucket you can choose any course. You can choose 3 out of the 4 buckets. And that was highly successful. In the sense that I can give you an example of a college here, Government Degree College, Begumpet, wherein we had only about 11 fixed combinations. And once we brought in flexibility, the number of combinations student could choose or actually chose went up to 53.
Wow.
It's like 5 times increase in the number of... so looking at that...
So can someone do physics and music?
Not music as of now, but somebody can actually do, let's say, physics, maths, and economics.
Oh, you can. Okay. That's quite a step ahead.
Yes. Or maths, economics, and statistics. Or, I mean, you can. So the subjects are actually in 4 buckets.
Okay.
And we took this for a step ahead in the academic year 2021, that is last year, though we were in the pandemic, and we extended it to all the private colleges also. And this has really taken a step ahead of other states in terms of flexibility we provide. In fact, we actually did this a few months before the NEP actually talked about it.
Okay.
So that's the second thing. The third thing I would like to talk about is in the technical education sector, wherein we have brought in allowed our engineering colleges to opt for new and emerging technology areas. And that has also given very good results. For example, there was a net increase of about 17,500 seats only in emerging areas last year. And this has gone up to 24,500 this year, which is AI and ML, data science, cybersecurity, IoT, and robotics.
And they're all being taught as
they're all
courses.
being they're all
Full credit courses.
They are all actually programs. So you can actually do a BTech in computer science and engineering
With
AI and ML,
wonderful.
or BTech in computer science and engineering, let's say IoT or cybersecurity or data science. And we saw that almost we have a success rate of about 90% in filling up these seats. Last year as well as this year. So that is really moving us into the direction of new and emerging technologies. Another important thing which we have done is we've brought in a lot of the employability, management and life skills, which were actually not credit courses earlier, which were actually left to the colleges to give us an add-on for the students to improve their employability in the campus. We brought in some of these courses into the core of the curriculum as credit courses, and this was done in the Collegiate education in the year 2019, as well as to great extent even in the engineering education based on the new model curriculum of the AICT. And we feel that this is something which really needs to be kind of taken further forward, because we've got some very good success in that. The interest which the students are taking now in some of these skills is much higher than when they were optional.
Obviously.
I can also talk about some of the technology integration which we have done, especially
in the way the teaching
happens during COVID. I mean, we forced, like any other state, to actually go online. And that has also helped our faculty to really learn some of these online presentation skills in a very big way.
We all learned, even at ISB. I was myself trained for a couple of months actually to teach on the new media, the Zoom or Teams or all these new ways. So no, this sounds like a very important progress that you have made in a short time. You're saying that you kind of broadened the course offerings, you allowed greater flexibility, and you introduced new age skills based to the main traditional engineering curriculum, and all the subjects you mentioned, cybersecurity, IoT, are future looking skills in which the economy is growing. And you also are looking at life skills, and I want to follow up on that issue. I think education for a while has been rather employment focused, and which is right. But employment itself is now a part of the more extended social skill and not merely the domain skill. So employers are looking for more holistic individuals who not only know their subject, but also can work with others and be part of teams and innovate. So tell us a little more about what are you doing in getting engineers and other graduates ready with life and employment skills.
So first I will talk about the degree education, wherein a lot more flexibility was available to us to work on it. So we've actually worked on 3 areas. One was English language as an offering. So we had 20 credit courses of English language for every degree program. And when we really looked into the depth of it, we were finding that we were actually teaching English literature to even science students. I'm not against English literature per se, but then the question is that whether this will really be
it's not the practical English skill.
Exactly, whether it is a life skill or a business skill or an employability skill, which the student would actually be using it to further either his career or his own, I would say, life in some way. And when we looked at it, we were actually able to transform the English language offering into more of a communication offering.
Okay.
So these courses have been transformed into communication, which is in fact recognized as one of the key 21st century skill which is required in terms of both reading, writing, and speaking. And along with this, we also were able to integrate some of the other important things which are required. For example, one of the 3 credit courses in English is now human value and ethics.
Wonderful.
So it's not a separate course, but human value and ethics is taught as a course along with English.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Then there's also a course on gender skills, gender sensitization. There's a course on business English. There's a course on communicative English, basic communicative and advanced communicative. So this is one area which was worked upon. The second was integration of computer skills.
Okay.
So we had a thing called skill enhancement courses, which is called SEC, which are these 2-credit courses which UGC prescribes for degree programs. And there are 4 such courses which a student has to do, SEC and ability enhancement. So 2 of them have now become computer courses,
Oriented,
that is basic computer skills and advanced computer skills, wherein every student is now made to work on computers because that's a very essential skill. And then there is also focus on managerial skills, which includes time management, human management, team building, those sort of things, and also employability skills, which includes some bit of analytical skills, problem solving, critical thinking, those kind of skills. So this we felt is a well-rounded offering.
Quite a step ahead. I mean, if I was thinking of how it was during my time, so you seem to have made a lot of progress. So moving on, the other curiosity I have is, see, our problem seems to be, I want to know how Telangana state is addressing it, is that there is a huge rural-urban divide.
Yes.
And obviously resources are, because employment is focused here, industrialists are here, the big cities are endowed with greater resources. The colleges look better, teachers stay here, so you attract better teachers. So how are you addressing the quality of education issue in the rural Telangana?
So one of the ways we do that is to ensure our government institutions are well spread. So both government as well as the private sector is in the market. Private sector will be where the bulk of the students are. The private sector would not go to the area where getting students is difficult. So one of the prime objectives of government is to ensure equity as well as inclusivity, in the sense that the institutions should be well spread. And I can tell you that these 131 government colleges which we have are very well spread across the state. In fact, some of them are in the midst of tribal areas. For example, there is a college which is located in Amrabad, which is the tiger reserve on way to Shri. It's right in the midst of the forest. And provides access to the students where no other institutions is available. So that is one. That is the location of it. 2 is, I fully agree with you that teachers would not want to go there. So we also have this problem in the sense, we do have a lot of vacancies of teachers, and most of our regular as well as contractual teachers who are there, they would prefer to be closer to the cities. And we are in the process of ensuring that we go in for a round of recruitment. There are some technical issues pertaining to the bifurcation of the state, which have been more or less sorted out, and we expect to go in for recruitment very shortly. But till that is done, we have engaged guest lecturers in a big way. And in fact, we have last year and year before last, we have ensured that every single college in the state has every single required faculty. So I can confidently tell you that every single college...
That is quite an accomplishment.
Every single college in our state has 100% required faculty, both last academic year and year before, and the same we are ensuring this year also. Either as a regular lecturer, or as a contractual lecturer, or as a guest lecturer.
Okay. So you have, where you can't get regularly people, you are at least moving the guest lecturers.
And even for engaging guest lecturers, we ensure that we take the qualified ones. So the first preference goes to a PhD personnel.
Yes.
If you have a PhD available, we take. If PhD is not available, we go in for NET or SLET, which is the National Eligibility Test or the State Level Eligibility Test, qualified person. And if that is not available, then only we go for a basic master's. So that ensures at least academically they are qualified. And we also, our methodology of selection is also through a demo lecture. So we have a committee which actually see how the teacher is teaching. So if you have, let's say, 2 PhD persons coming, then the person who can teach better is actually selected. And this is all kind of, I would say, decentralized down to the district level.
How is the spread of those 100+ colleges that you talked about? You know, one of the classic images through which we all grown up is that, oh, look at Lal Bahadur Shastri, he had to cross 2 rivers to go to a college. All the big people of this country seem to have traveled a lot just to be able to go to a college or a school. Has that problem been addressed?
So,
are we just spread enough?
Yeah. So I'll tell you the benchmark of various levels of institutions. So a primary school is available in almost, I would say, every hamlet or habitation of the state. In fact, the right to education prescribes a minimum of 10 students to have a school. But I can tell you there are schools in our state which are catering to even lesser than that number of students, because there is a primary school in every habitation. A high school would probably be a group of villages, maybe a large village or a group of smaller villages would have a high school. A junior college, on an average, there could be kind of a little bit more or less, but on an average, a junior college is there for every mandal of the state.
Okay.
And a degree college, I can tell you, on an average, is for every assembly constituency of the state. This is the kind of...
That's what, about 20 to 50 kilometers of travel max?
That would be probably... 50 would be on the higher side. I would say 20 to 25 kilometers.
That's still very manageable. And if public transport is now grown, then obviously that's not as bad as it used to be. That
And many of these colleges also have a kind of a facility which is run by our welfare departments, that is social welfare or BC welfare or tribal welfare, in terms of a hostel, so that students they can actually stay
closer to, who can't travel, can come and live closer.
Very true.
That's great progress. So let's move on to another subject which worries us as we think of, we are thinking of human capital for the future, but the people who prepare the human capital for future are the teachers, the lecturers, the professors. Their own readiness is a subject of big concern, because they need to be trained, they need to be understanding the new age skills, new age pedagogy, how to teach. So what work is happening in that direction?
So I think that's a very, very important question. In fact, it is the question which I thought I will ask you.
We'll talk about what we think we should do.
Yeah.
But I want to know what are you doing now?
I'll first tell you about what is the scenario, and maybe then have your inputs also on how do we move forward on it. So I think pedagogy is a very, very important aspect of education. And somehow it is universally acknowledged by the experts in the sector that the pedagogy in the education sector has not changed, I would say, in the last few hundred years.
True.
If you go to any classroom, let's say you do a time travel 100 years back or few years back, COVID has a little bit changed. You would not recognize whether you are in 19th century or early part of 21st century. It looks very, very similar. Probably there's the color of the board has changed. It used to be black with a white chalk, but it has become, let's say, a white board or a green board with, let's say, markers. Or maybe there's an addition of a projector. But the fundamental nature of classroom has not undergone a change. COVID to a great extent has disrupted this much needed or brought in this much needed change, I would say, because everybody was saying that education has to change, and then COVID brought in this huge, I would say, change. Probably something which would have taken, let's say, 10 more years has happened in actually a matter of a few months, 12 to 15 months. It has happened. Now this gives us an opportunity to look at what should be the future of education be. And I think the future of education has to be in a way that it focuses on learning, because it has focused too much on content and knowledge in the past.
True.
So it has to change from content and knowledge to more of learning, and then skills which are really required to be successful. And for that to happen, I think the nature of the classroom also has to undergo change. I still see, in fact, even during COVID, I was looking at it, and this actually is an experience from one of our polytechnic institutions. So I actually tried to look at what our teachers are doing, and then I found that our teachers are still dictating notes to the students.
To remember for the exam.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is that is not taking us anywhere.
Yeah, I know. Let's
and
talk about that. I will share with you my perspective on that.
And this probably has to change.
True.
In the sense that content is available on the fingertips of the students. I think what we need to do is probably the work which has to happen is in terms of curating some of the content which they can view at their own time and at their own pace. And the classroom has to change more into this
discussion,
this two-way communication.
Yeah.
Is what my feeling is, and I would be happy to hear from.
We have found a word for it.
Yeah,
it's called the flip classroom.
Right.
So there is a nice way of saying that. So you're absolutely bang on. That is the matter of great concern. So let me add my little bit to that. You know, and I'm sure it will somewhere inform policy, and then gradually it will become practice. The first, at a very meta level, we need to first recognize what has changed with the advent of information being more easily available through Googles and Facebooks of the world and social media and the internet, is that the purpose of education has to be more about asking questions than about finding answers, because answers are all available. Whatever answer you want, so the notes that teacher was dictating, by the way, is available almost for free on the internet. So if you just get the right kind of internet access, students need more searching skills than knowing skills. So we should, if we believe that change, first we have to understand that change. What is informing the new pedagogy is the first realization that learning is not about information gathering. It's about what to do with the information. It's about converting the information into useful action that causes some change in the life and society. If that happens, the next big thing that happens in the mindset and the skill set of a teacher is to become more what I call student-centric or learner-centric than teacher-centric. So we say that we are, for example, at ISB, when I go to a class, I don't see myself as what I call a sage on the stage who's giving a lecture, but I see myself as a guide on the side, somebody who's facilitating the learning of an already, ready student who just needs a little bit of facilitation to make the next steps. So the third issue is to move learning, exactly the point you said, learning content to learning to learn. Because all learning has an expiry date. But learning to learn has no expiry date. And it is lifelong learning that will continue. And in the ability to create a condition where students will be curious, inquisitive, and have a desire to learn is the job of the new age teacher. How do you do that? You do that by blending action into learning. So this whole action learning projects, project-based learning, community action learning, taking students out of the classroom and getting them to do things, including in art subjects. Not sometimes back it was felt that you can do it only if there is a scientific experiment. You want to introduce a student to understand a tree, you take him to a forest. But if you want to introduce a student to a stock exchange, you can take him to a stock exchange. You want to introduce him to an IoT machine, you can take him to a factory. And if you want him to do something, you want him to understand why vaccination must be given during COVID, make him a volunteer. Even a school student can become, a college student definitely can. So if we can somehow make almost half of learning into action-based projects, which bring students with the reality outside the classroom, with society, with community, with jobs, with factories, and increase more internship opportunities, apprentices, then that much needed collaboration of classroom with the real world will happen. Otherwise, we are keeping them in a cocoon, feeding them with an overload of information, which by the time they come out, they don't know what to do with, because we haven't been teaching them problem solving. So the big changes pedagogy is seeing is making education more immersive, more action-centered, more student-centered, learning-centered, and inquiry-based, as opposed to mugging and rote learning-based. For this, the classroom has to change. It has to be an extension of the community. In fact, in the other conversation, we are talking about Gurukul. And I fully agree that probably because we had a scale that was affordable at that time, that some 10 people could come together and a guru could literally teach them not just learning, but living itself.
Yes.
I think that if we can somehow replicate that model with scale, because our challenge now is scale. We are a hugely populous country. We have to address larger number of people. I think not that everywhere people have addressed this issue. We have to partner together. The more advanced education institutions, places where we are able to experiment with some of these pedagogies, like at ISB, there's a huge component of experiential learning that we offer to our students. Now, those of us who understand, in ISB we have also a teacher training program, in which we bring teachers from other places and teach them, including of the subject of the flipped classroom. And the last thing I want to say about pedagogy is we are at this touching the surface of using the digital medium. So we have just, like you said, we have replicated the physical class into a digital class. But that's just a change in the medium. But there's a huge world of opportunity awaiting as digitalization is fully adopted and technologies like AR, augmented reality and virtual reality actually become a part of education delivery. Then classrooms can be really exciting places for students to explore the world outside in a manner that was never imagined before. Students can see 3D dimensional pictures and videos of things that you can see, and affordably, because the technology is rapidly getting affordable and commercializable. So these are 3-4 things, student-centric learning, action-centric learning, inquiry-based learning, community-oriented learning, life skills learning, and flipped classrooms, and use of digital media not as just a replication of the physical media, but a model change literally in terms of how students learn. I think this will inform the pedagogy of the future.
Right.
And we have to train our teachers for that.
Right. So this actually brings me to my next the follow-up on what you've just talked about is about we've talked about the methodology of teaching, or a methodology for inducing learning. But what are the skills which you think are going to be important going forward? As I was also mentioning, we have actually focused too much on content, that is content and knowledge, and not really on the skills which are really required to do well. And to do well could be either at the workplace or on the personal front.
True.
So, what in your view are the critical skills which we really need to inculcate going forward?
I would recommend we step back for a minute and ask the question, why the skills? Then it'll tell us what skills.
Right.
So based on what I've read, learned, and what we are seeing happening in the more advanced areas where people have evolved their education systems to a higher level, it looks that it makes sense to address skills in 3 areas. One is in the area of work, another is in the area of life, and the third, a much neglected area of citizenship. I would call it citizenship. You can call it community, society, etc. But belonging to with a collective civic sense to belong to a society, with a responsibility to build it to its next future. Now, for various reasons, historically the way we have come out of being a colony and poverty and trying to get some employment around our millions of people, our education has been highly employment oriented. even that has not been a very successful journey, but we have made quite a lot of, in fact, the kind of examples you did fills me with pride that we now have a state where there is a course possible to do AI/ML formally in a rural town college, which is an amazing progress. Having said that, these are still partial answers to the building of the holistic person that we want to build for the future. The society in future needs people to be ready for work-related skills, which increasingly will include a whole lot of digital literacy, because a lot of work will get done through it. So therefore, the kind of skills that you talked about, currently AI/ML, or tomorrow whatever next comes, currently IoT, currently 4D, 3D printing, etc. So all the new things that are happening in technology. Basically, the advances in computer sciences and robotics, if you like. That will continue to be a future set of skills in the area of work, because that's an area where work is growing. Other liberal arts-based skills also, in terms of in economics, in social sciences, all that will also grow. But I want to focus more on life skills, and I want to focus more on civic skills. On life skills, clearly the biggest need is critical thinking. Critical thinking, analytical skills, problem solving are three important things, and especially in this country, where a huge, unfortunate combination of a very hierarchical society that doesn't even allow people to ask questions and keeps the teacher like a boss, who's kind of ruling, and you have to just sort of guess. The best student is one who guesses what the teacher wants to hear. And the teacher keeps on asking, so do you know, till you get the right answer. The teacher keeps on prodding you. And what is the right answer? The right answer is what the teacher thinks is the right answer. This is a sure way of not building an innovative society. Our young people have to be taught to ask questions. Okay, so that is a big change, literally a paradigm shift, if you like. So I would call critical thinking, analytical skills, and problem solving at the top of the life skills. The next set of skills would be about more in terms of working in teams, working collaboratively, working with others. So the whole band of skills called interpersonal skills, where people are able to be with each other, because nothing meaningful in the world can be done alone.
Right.
So you need to understand that we kind of can work in communities. So interpersonal skills, and companies are awfully missing them, and they are looking for higher education to supply a talent pipeline which is ready with more interpersonal awareness and interpersonal skills. And finally, let's move to the whole issue of civic skills. I think this is one area, not just India, the whole world is guilty of not preparing more responsible global citizens. Today, there are just a number of problems that is impacting the world, climate-related problems. This sheer awareness of a college student about, as I said, why should there be a recycling? What does plastic do? What's the way to manage garbage and the addressal systems? How to handle city planning? How to look at plantation and greenery? What is a circular economy? How do I create a more frugal economy and save the resources of the world? I think these cannot be the preserve of a few elite who understand this and discuss in Glasgow. They have to be common man's information. He has to be a part of that awareness and that urge to contribute to that. And Earth can't be protected by governments, civil servants and professors. They have to be protected by the average citizen. So we need to kind of build that skills. Let's take issues like the growing intolerance in the world, inability to live in inclusive ways, build more equity and fairness and justice, gender sensitivity and tolerance, ability to include the people with physical and other challenges into the mainstream, religious tolerance. These are things which have to be taught literally, because we seem to have lost them. And there is growing narrowness in education. Education itself is sometimes being used to promote such sectarian and narrow thoughts and orthodoxies, so that in the advanced countries, I mean, a simple thing, logical thing like that there is a COVID and we need to take a vaccine, the 30% people in Europe who don't want to take a vaccine.
Very true.
Now, what explains this? I would consider it a failure of education, a failure of, like Nehru said, we should have the scientific temper, the curiosity to know and learn. We seem to have somewhere lost that. And it's a pity that education is actually getting used for the opposite purposes of building orthodoxies as opposed to a more secular and more open, debated society. That is the kind of citizenship behaviors. The last thing I'll say, particularly for India, which I'm very concerned, not as a professor but as a citizen, is that it beats me to know why so many educated people wouldn't drive in the lane of a traffic. Why would they throw a Coke can on the road? I mean, that India will be a great economic superpower. Perhaps I have less doubt. But would India be a cultural powerhouse? Will it be a civic society? Will it be a civilized world? Will people respect each other? Will we know how to live with each other more responsibly? I guess that is a bigger challenge. So culture is not in the sense of a reactionary sense of we had Khajuraho, we had dance. Culture in the sense of how do we stay cultured with each other, I guess has to be a part of curriculum. We have to catch the youngsters at the time of their education and build a responsible civic sense in all of them. So if you combine these three, work skills are easy to predict, difficult to implement, but it is possible because industry will lead that front because they need people, so they'll tell you what skills they want. But we have to step back as policy makers and make more proactive stances on life skills and on civic and citizenship skills. Those are my
I would
thoughts.
say very, very rightly put by you. And I mean, going forward, I think because right now the focus of both parents as well as students is actually only on employability skills. And I entirely agree with you that we have to actually integrate both life skills and civic skills.
And employability itself is suffering because of that.
I agree.
Employability doesn't exist in vacuum. Companies exist in society. And if the societal skills are lacking, we are spending time handling sexual harassment cases in workplaces where people are supposed to have come with more sophistication than in other places, you know. So the fact that modern workplaces have sexual harassment is a shame on everything that we do together, isn't it?
Very true.
So we need to sort of think
and
about it.
even you constantly see this issue of people who are actually working in good salaries actually really don't know what to do with the money which they earn. I mean, a lot of it is actually wasted on
and conspicuous consumption
liquor
in a society
and,
of inequities. You know, it is such as so if those who have the money can't be responsible with what they do, then we will never have the equity that we want. So no, very nice. I mean, I'm glad you've done I think the basic readiness seems to be there now, much more than that. But then if we were to make Telangana literally a kind of a case study and an exemplar state, you know, whether in the short term or in the long term, if you were to sort of end this conversation with some kind of a vision that you have, something that you would like Telangana's higher education and engineering education to stand for, how do you see that?
So I think I would say a collection of what we have actually talked about. So one is that on the technology front, we are leaders in the sense we are the future leaders. We are currently in many ways, but we should be clearly the future leaders. I mean, an entity which has to set up base should choose Hyderabad, not just for the physical reasons, but also for its the quality of manpower which we provide here. So that is, I would say, one. And two is, as you rightly put, the people who come out of our education system should be well-rounded individuals,
Correct.
not just employable in the
Skilled labor.
skills part of it, but also they should know how to handle themselves and the environment in which they work,
True.
as well as the society at large. So I would say that would be that would be our objective, and that is the direction in which we are trying to move forward on.
Wonderful, wonderful. Lord, it's been good to have you, someone, drive this, very important part of the state's agenda. Look forward to more of such conversations. our purpose to start this dialogue, as I wanted to say, at least from my point of view, I'm sure to you, is that people who've been listening to us, but they must step up. They must not just use the question hour here, but beyond this, they must increase their engagement. You know, I'm quite impressed by, I don't know what reality will it produce, but the Delhi government's initiative to get the average citizen to be a mentor to a school student is an interesting initiative. So if we say that, you know, all education has to be just provided by the government or the rich industrialists or politicians who can start up colleges, it's a very small contribution. It's only when the average citizen contributes to the broader agenda of learning that there will be a change. So I want to also use this dialogue to kind of leave with our thoughts with the audience that we should see that they engage, they contribute, and prod you to do the next best thing. And you probably work with us in education to do more joint research, more joint programs to sort of move the next orbit. Sure. Human capital is our biggest asset. We can't make it future ready. Pity.
I agree with you. I fully agree with you.
Thank you. Thank you then. I think
there's some questions.
Guru is around here and I'm sure he would lead us to the next steps.
We're going to have Sridhar take the questions, Chandra.
Okay, sure.
Sridhar?
Yeah.
Have we done enough on time, exceeded?
No, we are bang on time. Yeah.
Bang on time? Good. Seems to be good. Yeah.
So just to start the questions from the audience, one Mr. Shamik De is mentioning, it is remarkable to hear from Commissioner Mittal how he innovated to improve admission rates of government and technical education institutions. One wonders how placements of candidates would have fared after, particularly for the new technical courses students. That is for Mittal, and for Professor, if Professor can take us through the ISB journey in managing quality education through and after a pandemic. Thank you. This is from Shamik De.
Shamik, I think it's a very good question which you asked, because I talked about the inputs, but what is the outcome of that? Not just the numbers, but in terms of placement. So I can tell you about some experience which we have in our degree colleges, where we introduced the new course combinations in the year 2018 era, and first batch just came out. And we see a marked improvement in the employability of those students. There are a few reasons for that. One is, most of the students have actually got extremely good computer skills, because many of them have taken, I would say 80% of our students now are taking computer science as a combination in BSc Physical Sciences. 100% of our students have computer applications as a combination in BCom. And about 20% plus have in BA, but they also study basic and advanced computer skills as a compulsory course combination. And when we talk to our faculty members and our principals, and across the board, the answer is that there's a marked increase in the employability of the students and the placements. But the new technology, once they were introduced last year, so technical or engineering education is a 4-year curriculum. So we expect the first batch to come sometime around 2024 is when the batch would come out. But for the students who are already there, we are offering them two things. One is they can either have a minor combination, or they can have a specialization combination. In the sense, minor is something which is more horizontal program. For example, if I'm doing a BTech in mechanical engineering, I can do actually a minor in computer science and engineering, which then adds on to what I'm studying. Specialization is more vertical, or a deeper combination. In the sense, if I'm doing, let's say, a BTech in mechanical engineering, I can do a specialization in robotics. And this is something which we have permitted to the current third-year students. So if they do a 20 credits extra in a horizontal subject, they can have a minor, or if they do 20 extra credits in a vertical subject, they can have a specialization. And I think this would be giving us pretty good results in the coming years.
Interesting. So you're focused on building the relevance, if you like, Good, but Sridhar, you were saying something else?
Yeah, just a second, yes. Yeah, basically he was wanted to check from the ISB journey's point of view on managing quality education through and after a pandemic, from your perspective.
Well, no, ISB, like any other global school in the world, was equally hit by pandemic. So I don't want to start saying that we have miraculously solved the problem of the pandemic. But whatever have been the characteristic strengths of ISB have served us well even during the pandemic. What are they? Let's sort of look at honestly. I think the first credit and the first contribution that ISB gets to be a global school is actually the quality of students who come to us. They are really the engines of our success, honestly, because we get some of the best students. Luckily, because of over time, the quality of education and the reputation that has been built, we get Ivy League students. And in fact, in the pandemic year, since people of India didn't want to go to the US and other countries, the admissions cutoffs in ISB exceeded those of Harvard and others, in the sense that the same students who had gone there is now here, in the sense. So obviously we get high quality students who contribute to, and during the pandemic, they showed both resilience, adaptability, and they took to digital education. Although like everyone else, they had their own anxieties, but they took to it almost as, and also being digital natives of the new generation, they could do it far easily. And I think that contributed literally 1/3 of the success of ISB to kind of sail through. And that resilience we saw so much more that actually our admission rates and the pressure on admission, the number of applicants, everything has significantly increased. Contrary to the belief, between the two pandemic years, we have more applications for our MBA courses or PGP courses than ever before. The other third of ISB is obviously the research focus and the cutting edge teaching and pedagogy that our faculty here bring. ISB has been able to attract a solid, very, very highly focused and research, high quality faculty from global sources here. And it is that, which has stood, so much so that all the faculty here adapted to the digital medium of teaching, the teaching through the Zoom, and we set up in rapid speed, in weeks, studios where we could come and use teaching. All of us moved to home teaching with the right equipment. We were all trained by world's best institutions who had earlier done online education. We were all formally trained to learn how to teach on the digital medium, and it's not the same as standing up and teaching in a classroom. And we innovated our course offering. Upfront, we created what is called a digital Head Start module so that we can get the students move rapidly through the first part of the course, including a course on leadership, which we offer in the very beginning of our premier PGP program. We offered on the digital medium, and all of them, there's no reason to believe that the learning outcomes were in any manner compromised. So we kept that. While we couldn't create due to social distancing norms the campus quality experience, the rest of the education in learning outcome terms, I think we nearly maintained the same level of engagement that we could do. We managed to alter the schedule a little bit to suit the new imperatives of the pandemic where students took time. And all this we did in addition to when finally students came to the campus during the later part of the pandemic with a lot of healthcare measures, quarantine camps and regular tests and doctors and all that. So I think the parents, teachers, students worked very hard to get this, process go through. And the other third of ISB always has been our partner schools and our visiting faculty, our international faculty. And they continue to support us through this process. Of course, the medium, with the fact that they didn't have to travel, only made matters easy, and we could still get them as much as we used to get in the past. So the three pillars of success, if you like, the research-focused resident faculty and the cutting-edge students of high IQ and capability, and also great partner schools, great curriculum, great global focus of the school with global partnerships, both in faculty and in other institutional terms, I think continue to keep ISB on the edge. And digital adaptation probably happened pretty naturally here.
I think hearing you, I am also pretty convinced that this will also help ISB to use the same strategy for more executive education. No,
True.
People who have an opportunity cost of leaving the job and coming to the campus. I think if this same
we are doing, and in fact we are doing more. We are also now using this digital world now to kind of step up significantly on our online offerings.
Right.
We are going to do that very big.
Yeah, Professor Chandra, we just have time for 2 more questions, and maybe we need a quicker answers.
Sure.
One, Mr. Mittal, what lessons from Telangana could we replicate in other states? I mean, from your perspective.
So I think the lesson is that if you go deeper into things, you would actually find answers. And in fact, the reason why many times we don't change things or the system doesn't change is because we look at the surface of it. And we think that everything is going on fine. But actually, when you go deep into things and you actually start looking at the finer points of it, you realize that there's a tremendous possibility for change. And I think this applies not just to the education sector, but no, in any field. That I would say is a big learning. If you want me to talk about learnings from the education sector, I think it is all about flexibility in offerings. More student centric choices, in the sense student should decide what he or she wants to study, and moving ahead with the times, whether it is in your course offering or in the way things are offered.
The next question is from Dr. Sudha. What do you think will be the future and role of liberal arts?
Question to whom?
Navinji.
I think liberal.
Both can answer.
So my answer would be liberal arts is very, very important. Only thing is we have to kind of move forward from the way liberal arts have been offered in the past, because it is too much about exam-centric teaching rather than life-centric teaching. And one of the key reasons for that is the way our assessments are held. So a lot of our teaching is actually to pass exams, and I don't think that will take us anywhere. You can call it liberal arts, you can call it humanities, you can call it arts or whatever. But if you have to really experience the benefit of it, then you have to move into making people think and then contribute in whatever way possible to as Chandra ji said, to life of their own, or to society, or to the workplaces. If we can do that, I think we will be really experiencing the power of liberal arts.
Correct. Absolutely.
Good. One more last question, probably. Do we have a model to offer skilling at scale to make a positive impact on India's advantage in demographic dividend?
So the short answer for that is that technology is making it possible. So gone are the days when people had to physically come to a place and then learn those skills. Today, with the help of technology, you can offer something at scale. I mean, Chandraji talked about augmented reality, virtual reality. So you can do things with virtual labs. You don't even have to have a costly equipment at a fraction of it. And once you develop it, I mean, it is available. It is available. Then the incremental cost of reaching to the next person is zero. And when you are doing it physically, I mean, you have to suppose I have to give that offering, let's say in Hyderabad and let's say in Bangalore. You have to actually replicate the same setup. But once you do it digitally, you can reach out anywhere in the country. Yeah. So technology is the driver for offering skills at scale.
Absolutely. The only thing that will round it up is if we can also step up internships, apprentices in industry-based learning.
Yes.
That would be that will bring really, it will complete the journey. So otherwise it's staying, even if digitally, it'll stay at the level of learning and not go to application.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you.
Yeah.
So we just have time for this only. There are many more questions, but I'm afraid we can't take it. Just have a minute for Guru to conclude.
Thank you, Sridhar.
Thank you.
I just want to just make this remark that we've had close to 500 participants logging onto this dialogue. It's an unprecedented number in terms of participants, and also a good number of them on Facebook Live. So it sort of, why I mention this is because it it points to two things. One, the importance of the topic itself, how, and the fact that everybody is invested in this, in preparing a future ready human capital, and such an important one. And two, without a doubt, the fact that we have these two experts here sharing your insights. So I want to thank both of you, Shri Navin, Mittal, for sort of such a lucid sort of manner in which you shared your insights, coming from over 3 years of experience just in this particular sector, notwithstanding the over 2 decades of your experience as an administrator in the Indian Administrative Service. So thank you very much. I know that the future of higher education and technical education is bright in Telangana, and hopefully that will also sort of lead to other states and other places across, because I think we're talking broadly about India in some sense. Chandra, thank you very much for, as always, for leading the discussion in the manner that's very unique to you, and for bringing out the best in, I particularly like the way you started off saying you don't see yourself as a sage on stage, but as a guide on the side. I'll remember that. I think there are many such things that we all have benefited from. I want to thank the ISB Studios team led by Ajay, and all our colleagues at the External Relations team, and Mr. Mittal, to your department, and large number of colleagues of yours are on the call as well, on the dialogue as well. Thank you very much, and hope to continue this engagement. And Mr. Mittal, we hope to continue to work with you. We are in Telangana. Anything that ISB can do to support, please do let us know. We'll be very happy. And it's we look forward to sort of staying connected in this thing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gurgan. Thank you, Chandraji.